We're here today at the Center for Independent Living Wheelhouse, which is their repair facility and assistive technology facility for wheelchairs, scooters, power chairs, all kinds of assistive tech. There's the ball bearings inside that one. Is there like sludge in there?
This one's not too bad, but you can see it's all warped.
I've always been in that open culture world, zines and writing and publishing and all of that culture, and the music culture around Riot Grrrl and punk and all of that. And I think that really shaded into, coming out of the 70s and 80s, all of the idealistic techno-utopians.
This person was really concerned. She's like, when I take it, it's not going to be, it's going to have brakes, right? I was like, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make sure the brakes
was that the lady that was just here?
Yeah,
good. You don't just have open source software that came out of one person's brain. It's all a big movement about who gets to create stuff and maintain stuff and what that looks like. Is it top down? Is it corporate? Or is it sort of more grassroots? And I'm very much about the everyone gets to do it. Everyone gets to get their hands dirty in metal. So it had some kind of coating on the tire that has peeled off.
Yeah, because they all are doing that.
I feel like we could write a whole book of the most common things that break and like give it to the wheelchair companies and be like, why don't you design a better thing that this doesn't happen to? All of your radical philosophy, you need to take that and apply it to the world of this kind of equipment, because by the time you're 80 and you need a wheelchair for the first time, you don't have the energy or time to go out and hack your own wheelchair. So the time to think about integrating these cultures and these technologies is kind of now.
What are you doing? So doing final checkout on some of these devices. So we're shipping a bunch of motions at the moment. So just doing final measurements on the output. So.
There's a statistics by the World Health Organization. There are 3.2 billion people in the world, and we're fortunate being in the first world countries where we have access to readily available medical technology. There are 3.2 billion people in the world that don't have access to it. And the whole concept of open water is make it accessible to everyone worldwide. And the way that I believe we can do that is to get people across the world. There are innovative medical individuals around the world who can contribute, just like they do to Linux, but now into a medical space. Drive down the cost, improve innovation, and get it into the hands of as many people that need it affordably.
It's the final safety circuit testing, and so some of these units just have a little bit more thermal variability than we would like, and so just making sure the safety circuits work upon the very beginning at the startup when they're the coldest. So in this case, yeah, they're kind of tripping a little bit earlier and premature. So.
I entered into a company as a senior product manager for Canon Medical. There's a conference called RSNA, it's Radiology Society of North America. And at the time we were building AI engines for supporting CT scanners and MRIs and everything else. And as I'm walking around the show floor, I go to the Philips booth, and almost identical type of AI engine that we were building, they were promoting. You go to the GE booth, almost the identical AI components. Go to Siemens, and maybe it was a little different, but ultimately it was identical. And the aha moment was, why are we all building this individually? Why aren't we building this together? And then when I was approached by Open Water, first I didn't know what they were doing or how they were doing it, but it was that epiphany moment. It was like, oh my goodness, right? We have a way to really change the dynamics of how medical devices are introduced to home care. You're investing hundreds of millions of dollars to bring these medical imaging devices to market, and ultimately you have to recoup that cost, so you end up charging millions of dollars to the hospital, and that inflates the healthcare costs. What if we changed that? What if we drove innovation with consumer-grade components that are in your phones today, like the optics and electronics, drive down that cost considerably and allow those devices to be placed in the hands of consumers? The practice of an EMT identifying a stroke patient is very ambiguous at the time of examination. So they can misdiagnose maybe 30% of the time of where that stroke individual should go. It could go to a standard hospital, but there are trauma centers that are specific for stroke. And just think about that patient individual who would be transferred to a standard hospital without trauma care, then being diagnosed and then having to be retransferred. For a stroke patient, they don't have hours, right? They have minutes of time. And so our protocol for open motion is to identify that occlusion or that stroke at the scene. That way the EMT can make immediate judgment and dispatch that patient to the right hospital for immediate care. So I think that's profound, right? That's innovative. Open LIFU is a multifaceted device that has a number of indications that it can treat and support. I think about depression. We did a study with the University of Arizona around depression and found that by rewiring the neuro centers, we could improve patients with depression and extend that to PTSD, extend that to addiction. There are studies where this ultra-focused, low-frequency ultrasound can mechanically agitate different types of foreign tissues. Think of screwworm in Texas with this invasive fly larvae. We think we have an avenue to destroy that without invasively going into the cattle and removing it. So there are a number of different things that both Open Motion and Open LIFU bring to the market.
The line of how we define assistive tech is very fuzzy. People might say, well, why are you spending all this energy to preserve this DIY that's like how to use a dowel, like a wooden dowel or a stick or something, and make a sock puller on her with some buttons? Why are you doing this? We could just buy a sock puller on her off Amazon, or my insurance will get me all the things I need. And that's because people don't always have access to that stuff. And even here, we see so many people in this resource-rich and wealthy country. And even here in the Bay Area, the birthplace of disability rights and all this assistive tech that we see around us, people can't get the stuff they need and don't really have the concept of, I could make something. So a lot of people have to make stuff to adapt and to survive. And I want to give the tools of how to make those often simple things into everybody's hands.
So we have somebody who is no longer to sit up in their chair, and they need to lay flat, and they've been laying flat in their bed for months because of that and are not able to get in and out of their house, and they haven't been outside for a long time. So I'm kind of creating this very small, lightweight gurney that's going to be able to essentially be pushed by somebody. But another one of the goals, besides it being lightweight, being able to get in and out of a van, is that they needed to be able to go up and down. But they don't want any batteries, they don't want it to be heavy, they need it to be really light. Since there's going to be no batteries or motors involved, I took this cranking actuator, slides in and out, and I'm going to mount it, and that is going to crank this kind of like a lightweight scissor lift up and down. So she's going to lay on this, and then we'll have handles back here. And then with the cranking action, you'll be able to raise her up. As a caregiver, if you have to bend over even slightly and your focus is on the person laying down in bed, you forget about your back, and you are you're able to last a lot longer if you can stand straight up and then do personal care, getting on the clothes, feeding the food, doing the setup and all of that, if you can stand up straight. So that was one of her goals, was to be able to raise up. But the other one is just to be at a conversational level with the people around, so that socially you can participate rather than being 3 feet below everybody all the time. So I think we're going to make it. I think we're going to be able to get all of this together to meet all of those needs. And get outdoors, get in the sunshine.
I love your ingenuity of just Franken-sharing it together from all of this found stuff.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah,
Those are my
I know.
favorite types of they involve a little crafty, a little ingenuity, and you sit here and you scratch your head and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh yeah!
We have researchers around the world that are embracing this technology and looking to do some innovative research which extend the safety, the efficacy, and the baseline for the community to start adding value to. The open source access and regulatory science are the next steps to ensure medical grade devices, right? So again, we embrace the whole regulatory approval process because it ensures that mark of approval for the community that, it's gone through some rigor and will do no harm. I believe, and I saw this multiple times in an open source software perspective, is transparency, true transparency equals trust. And that's where we're headed.
So my project here for the summer is to use our Open Healthware device and try to sonicate the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to try to stimulate or see differences in working memory. So the way that we're doing this is we have a person wear an EEG headset while they are doing a cognitive task, and they're also wearing this Open Healthware device. And so when you wear them together, it turns into a closed loop system where based on theta levels detected by this EEG headset, this device sonicates, and then when this device sonicates, we can also read from this EEG headset to see what kind of theta dynamics are going on. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, right here. And then this also has a trigger channel, which is directly connected to our EEG, so we can align exactly when the trigger is sonicated, so that we can see interesting things like latency, accuracy, and other theta dynamics, like how long it takes to return back to baseline, or drift rate of theta returning back to baseline. So the bottom is the hold or the power, which is why it looks more blocky, and then the channel 1 is the raw EEG signal.
Okay.
Since modules are okay, there's no problem. They're going to need 32 cables. I don't know where those have all the EMI stuff.
There's 100 trials total, or 100 squares shown total, but the number of space bars that you press is different depending on the trial. So this is just test run. Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
There are companies out there that will be threatened, and they should be, right? Because we want to challenge their proprietary models and begin to, drive down healthcare, drive down the economics, get it in the hands of everyone. Healthcare should be ubiquitous. There is no reason why we're spending so much on healthcare, and it's our hope that we can change that dynamic.
Last fall, I noticed a post on Reddit. I read the wheelchairs Reddit sometimes, just falling asleep. And I messaged a guy there who posted, does anyone know how to reprogram these per mobile motor controllers? Maybe I can reprogram this one to be more sensitive, so that when I push just a little bit with my not very strong, hand, it'll move and I can control it. And I was like, wow, we're talking about that. We're investigating, we're looking at all the resources and other people's attempts just to work on this problem. And we began talking with him. He's in Moldova. Moldova doesn't have a lot of resources for disabled people in general. And we just started pulling in more and more people. We started asking the CIL wheelhouse folks for help. Like, do you have a chin joystick? Do you have a micro joystick? Do you have these certain parts that we need to try to fix up his chair and get him going again? We ended up partnering with all these different organizations in the Bay Area and different volunteers and people who had professional knowledge in order to figure out, what does Andre need? What could help? How do we install it? What knowledge do we need to develop? And Olga was like, I'll fly there. And so ended up, after I think 4 or 5 months of this work and lots of Zoom meetings and all kinds of photos and videos of things, Olga ended up flying out there with a bunch of parts and spent 3 days in this tiny village on the border of Ukraine and Romania and Moldova, and just spent 3 days installing it all, getting Andre hooked up. Now he can get outside of the house. He can drive inside. He can drive with his chin, and he also has a micro joystick and a better tray to put his arm because his arm goes a certain way. There, for me, the point is, one of the main points is that you can't just give somebody a piece of technology. You can't be like, here's a wheelchair, have fun, because you need all those people and all that expertise and all that knowledge. None of the infrastructure or ecosystem of repair and reuse and modification existed where he is. And here it barely exists. We had to pull it together like Avengers Assemble, And those relationships weren't formal partnerships. It was just us going, yo, this guy isn't even in your catchment area for where you get your funding, but would you just help us out a little bit in your spare time? And people did. At the Open Healthware conference, I want to talk about this kind of thing, about the need and the future that I envision. What can we make happen? I can talk about GOAT and grassroots open assistive tech and what we're doing now, and I think that's great. But I really want to put that vision out there for more people to pick up the pieces and say, what if we invented that perfect power chair, or that configurable power chair with good privacy, protects your data, you can fix it, lots of specs, you can print new parts for it, you can talk to these fabrication people to mill you a new part for it and customize it. And that's what I would love to make happen in the world. At least that's one thing I would love to make happen in the world.
To do several more studies before we can get the approval on the depression, because that's just how the FDA works.
So once it's like a cell phone, here's my question, my shady question. Can it get you high? So this video keeps saying that. Oh, damn it. I just want to know. I'm like, when it's a cell phone
stimulate in
price,
the brain,
and if
yes.
you say it's like treating depression, then I'm like, obviously people are going to try to get high with it.
Well, the depression treatment doesn't target an area like that. However, the short answer is yes. Depending on where you aim it, it could. So,
What about pain relief?
pain relief.
Pain relief in general.
Pain relief in general. Addiction is another one.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of work right now with focused ultrasound and addiction. You can also, so the effect can be inhibitory. So you can shut off things. I could make you temporarily blind. I could make you temporarily deaf in one or both ears. And so, MIT is using it right now to study the consciousness of perception. So we know what parts of the brain do what.
Sort of like sometimes people can
But what we don't know
draw like a stroke person.